The ratings are in for the AEW Dynamite Beach Break special this week on TBS. CM Punk's status for the upcoming WWE Night of Champions PLE in Saudi Arabia has possibly been revealed. More details on possible WWE plans to turn Cody Rhodes heel in the future. Charlotte Flair versus Jade Cargill reportedly has been pitched for the upcoming WWE Evolution PLE. WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan reportedly undergoes neck fusion surgery. WWE NXT superstar Trick Williams appears on last night's TNA Impact. Speaking of NXT superstars, Nikita Lyons also appears on the show last night. Indy Hartwell is victorious in her TNA Impact in-ring debut. Steve Macklin reportedly was injured in his brutal, bloody and violent dog collar match last week. Ariana Grace is set to make her TNA in-ring debut at the Under Siege event. Mike Santana's match for the upcoming TNA Plus special is also confirmed. A Knockouts Tag Team title match has also been confirmed for Under Siege. Matt Cardona will be challenging for the International Championship at the upcoming TNA Plus special. Several matches and segments are confirmed for next week's edition of TNA Impact. Trish Adora is victorious in her return match on Ring of Honor television. Tatanka is set to make an appearance at the upcoming Saturday night's main event special on NBC, and WWE reportedly is high on the injured superstar Kiana James. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see right there, we're currently at 21,662 subscribers. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, join the ever-expanding WNU. In addition, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description. You can also scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar, or click the join button beneath you. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. Let's begin with the ratings and viewership information for this week's AEW Dynamite. Of course, it was a beach break special on TBS, and AEW has drawn its best viewership of 2025 for its flagship show. Wednesday night's special Beach Break edition of AEW Dynamite averaged 682,000 viewers on TBS, which is an 8.4% increase from last week. It's the best audience total the show has done since September 18th of last year. Dynamite drew a 0.17 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. That's up 6.3% from last week and ties the highest rating the show has done in that category since March 19th. Dynamite finished third on cable, trailing only the Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks NBA playoff game on TNT that topped the charts, a 1.44 rating in the 18 to 49 and 4.958 million viewers overall, and a Florida Panthers versus Toronto Maple Leafs NHL playoff game on ESPN with a 0.32 rating and 1.094 million viewers. Now, in terms of the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them, and be sure, as always, to subscribe to their Patreon service. Now, as compared to the same week in 2024, Dynamite's overall audience was actually up 1.5%, while the 18 to 49 rating was down 21.6%. It's the first time since November 2023 that the show has had a year-over-year increase in total viewers. This year's numbers, of course, do not include viewership on Max, which is likely, according to some, the reason the 18 to 49 rating is down considerably. Let me know your thoughts about those numbers in the comment section below. Now, CM Punk and his status for upcoming WWE PLEs in Saudi Arabia has been a hot discussion point, certainly, hasn't it, over the last few days. CM Punk is no longer featured in the promotional video advertising the upcoming Night of Champions premium live event from WWE. The show is set to take place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on June 28th, and it was officially announced with a promo video during WWE Backlash, with CM Punk appearing near the end as he gave the camera a wink. In a new version of the promotional video, though, CM Punk has been removed and replaced with Seth Rollins. Of course, CM Punk has been outspoken about Saudi Arabia in the past, notably telling The Miz to go suck a blood money-covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you fucking dork, during an online exchange in January of 2020. CM Punk has not worked a Saudi show since returning to WWE in 2023, but he stated this week that he doesn't hate coming to Saudi Arabia. Now, whether CM Punk is actually planned for WWE Night of Champions remains unknown, but there is reportedly internal pressure within WWE for wrestlers to work the company's events in the Gulf state. Of course, if we get any more details about his status for that, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, Cody Rhodes, we haven't seen him since losing the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, and the question is, could he turn heel when he returns to WWE? Well, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Cody Rhodes was pitched a heel turn, but there aren't plans for a heel turn anytime soon. Earlier this year, Fightful Select confirmed a Dave Meltzer report that Cody Rhodes was actually pitched the heel turn that ended up happening. Now, Fightful were told at the time that those around Rhodes were not in favor of the move for many reasons. Among them had been the strong gates, merchandising, and ticket sales for Rhodes as a babyface, and because at the time, Rhodes was still getting major babyface reactions. Recently, The Rock was on the Pat McAfee show saying that they could revisit that, as well as Cody selling his soul to The Rock. Despite those comments, as of WrestleMania, according to SAP, there was no plan in order for Cody Rhodes to turn heel. In fact, the company had creative plans for him as a babyface throughout the year. Those that Fightful asked about it said they didn't want to put too much of a spotlight on the situation shortly after Rock's interview, but that a number of people were against the idea of Cody Rhodes turning heel, noting his heavy contributions to the company's ticketing and merchandise success. Now, going over to WWE Evolution, which has been spoken about a lot recently. Now, WWE Evolution 2 looks like it's finally set to take place in the summer of this year, and a first-time ever match has been pitched for the all-woman show. Speaking on the event, rumored to be set in Atlanta, Georgia on July 13th, WrestleVotes Radio stated that Charlotte Flair vs. Jade Cargill has been suggested for the event. Quote, "We are told by several in creative one of the top matches pitched for Evolution 2 is Charlotte Flair vs. Jade Cargill. While seeds have been planted on TV over the past few weeks, sources indicate plans for Evolution should start to become clearer once Money in the Bank is complete," end quote. Now, Flair and Cargill have never wrestled one another, with Cargill joining WWE in January 2024, whilst Flair was off the road, with the Queen returning to in-ring action at the Royal Rumble in January 2025, whilst Cargill was off the road. Now, there have been a few confrontations when Cargill first came over to WWE in the sort of middle to fall of 2023. They did share the screen, you can see it right there. But Evolution 2 was believed to have been originally set for Connecticut on July 5th, but the venue in question was pre-booked. Whilst July 13th has yet to be officially announced, numerous reports have suggested this will be the date for the show, with WWE potentially looking to run Evolution the same weekend as All Elite Wrestling's All In Texas event. Now, let's go to Hulk Hogan. He's been in the headlines recently, and he's once again in the headlines, this time for surgery. WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has undergone neck fusion surgery. TMZ reports Thursday that the 71-year-old Hogan underwent surgery on Wednesday, but was back working on Thursday, according to a representative for the former six-time WWE champion. According to the report, the surgery was a little fusion procedure done in an attempt to help Hogan feel a little better. The representative for Hogan told TMZ that Hogan was back working on Thursday after a quick turnaround, presumably promoting his new Real American Freestyle Wrestling League and Real American Beer brands. Hogan claimed in a 2024 appearance on the Logan Paul podcast that he underwent more than 25 surgeries over the prior decade, including having both hips replaced, both knees replaced, and a slew of back surgeries. While his timeline may be skewed, Hogan did undergo a series of back surgeries in the late 2000s and early 2010s, later suing the Laser Spine Institute in Florida in 2013 for malpractice, seeking $50 million in damages, claiming that a series of minimally invasive procedures harmed his wrestling career when a traditional fusion surgery would have been the correct procedure. Hogan then had spinal fusion surgery in December 2010. Hogan later agreed to a settlement in the LSI lawsuit. Now let's go to TNA Impact, and we saw WWE NXT superstar Trick Williams once again on the show. He crossed the line once more. NXT superstar Trick Williams made an appearance on the May 15th episode of TNA Impact, joining Frankie Kazarian in the ring during the broadcast. Now, Williams said that he and Kazarian don't like each other, but they respect each other. Williams then said Joe Hendry's name, leading to the TNA World Champion to appear. Hendry was quickly joined by Elijah. Santino Marella was ready to let the two sides battle on TNA Impact, but Robert Stone shut things down. Trick and Kazarian will team to face Elijah and Hendry at the TNA Under Siege Premium Live event. Continuing with NXT influence on the show, Nikita Lyons was also present last night. Nikita Lyons has crossed the line. She teamed with TNA Knockouts World Champion Masa Slamovich against Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford to open the May 15th episode of TNA Impact. The match ended in a disqualification with Masa using a chair on her opponents. TNA Director of Authority Santino Marella tried to restart the match, but Robert Stone said the decision was final. Of course, it's all part of the ongoing crossover. Now, Lyons is signed to WWE and part of the NXT brand, while also competing on WWE Evolve. Indy Hartwell, a former WWE NXT Women's Champion, made her in-ring debut last night. Indy Hartwell was victorious in her TNA in-ring debut, defeating Kelsey Heather in singles competition. The finish saw Indy hits the Hertz Donut for the victory. Of course, she recently had signed with TNA Wrestling. After the bout last night, Indy's promo was interrupted by Tasha Steelz and Mustafa Ali. Hartwell officially signed with TNA at TNA Rebellion. She is the reigning HOG and ROW Women's Champion. Now, TNA announced an injury to a champion last night on the Impact broadcast. Steve Macklin is currently not cleared to compete, according to TNA. During the May 15th episode of TNA Impact, a BioFlex TNA injury report video package revealed that Steve Macklin sustained a minor skull fracture, multiple lacerations, and suffered from extreme blood loss following his dog collar match with Eric Young on May 8th. The extent of Macklin's injuries currently has him sidelined from competition for this week. However, he is scheduled to defend the TNA International Championship at the upcoming Under Siege event on May 23rd. Of course, if we get any more details on the injury, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, Ariana Grace, she's set to make her TNA in-ring debut at Under Siege. Ariana Grace is getting back in the ring at TNA Under Siege. Ariana Grace is the liaison of NXT and TNA's working relationship, but for the past several months, she's had issues with Tessa Blanchard on TNA television. These issues came to a head on the May 15th TNA Impact when Blanchard smacked Grace in the face, leading to Grace asking Robert Stone for a match against her at TNA Under Siege on May 23rd. Stone was happy to oblige, and now it's on. This will be Grace's first wrestling match since February when she lost to Lola Vice on NXT television. She has continued to wrestle on NXT house shows. This will also be her first time wrestling in TNA Wrestling, despite making regular on-camera appearances. Speaking of Under Siege, Mike Santana will be in action at the upcoming event because AJ Francis will try and halt Santana at Under Siege. TNA Wrestling has announced that AJ Francis will take on Mike Santana at the TNA Under Siege PLE on May 23rd. Santana crashed first class penthouse with Francis, Casey Navarro, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. on the May 15th episode of TNA Impact, adding to an already stacked card. That also includes a TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship match. The TNA Knockouts Tag Team titles will be on the line at Under Siege. TNA Wrestling announced that Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance will defend the TNA Knockouts Tag Team titles against Spitfire at TNA Under Siege on May 23rd. Of course, Ash and Heather won the TNA Knockouts Tag Team titles from Spitfire at TNA Sacrifice. That match is now confirmed for Under Siege. Now, I spoke about an international championship match for Under Siege. Matt Cardona will be challenging for the title. Cardona won a four-way match on the May 15th episode of TNA Impact, defeating Elijah, Ace Austin, and Mance Warner. The finish saw Cardona hit Austin with the roster cut after Austin's knee gave out as he went for the fold. With this victory, Cardona will now challenge Steve Macklin for the TNA International title at TNA Under Siege on May 23rd. Now, several matches and segments have been confirmed for TNA Impact next week as well. TNA announced that TNA Director of Authority Santina Marella and NXT's Robert Stone will have an in-ring debate on Thursday next week on TNA Impact. Of course, Stone undercut Santino on multiple decisions during the May 15th episode of the show. Plus, Joe Hendry and Elijah will team up against the system members Moose and Brian Myers, and Santana will team with Sami Callihan against First Class is AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. Finally, Ace Austin will battle Mustafa Ali. Heading over to Ring of Honor television here, and Trish Adora is back in action. On the May 15th episode of Ring of Honor, Trish Adora, accompanied by Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, secured a hard-fought victory over Rachel Ellering. The match ended decisively when Adora connected with a powerful lariat for the pinfall. With this victory, Adora is back in the win column. This was her first match since New Japan's Battle in the Valley, where Empress Nexus Venus teamed with Viva Van to defeat the team of Anna Jay, AZM, Johnny, Robbie, and Adora. Of course, that match, taking place last night on Ring of Honor on Honor Club. She had previously been removed from DPW due to a medical issue, but now she's back with a vengeance. Tatanka will be making his return to WWE at Saturday night's main event. Next weekend, WWE will take over the city of Tampa, Florida for a string of shows in the Youngling Center, including Saturday night's main event set for May 24th. So far, 2 matches are confirmed for the event, and now so is an appearance from a WWE legend. Quote, "Thanks to God Almighty and a big thank you to the #1 sports entertainment company in the world, WWE. Next Saturday, May 24th, I will be attending WWE Saturday Night's main event live with my wife Michelle and our 2 sons Joseph and Jeremiah Chavis," wrote Tatanka on Instagram alongside a graphic promoting his return. Within WWE, fans may remember Tatanka for his early televised undefeated streak, which included victories over the likes of Rick Martel, the Brooklyn Brawler, Mike Sharp, and Shawn Michaels, albeit by countout at WrestleMania 9, or his involvement with Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation. Following his initial departure in 1996, Tatanka returned to WWE in 2005 for another brief run, with a notable feud against Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury. In addition to Tatanka's appearance, WWE Saturday Night's main event will feature a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between Logan Paul and reigning title holder Jey Uso. The winner will then go on to defend the championship against the ring general Gunther on Monday Night Raw on June 9th. Elsewhere, CM Punk and Sami Zayn will also take on the newly minted pair of Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. WWE Saturday Night's main event will air on NBC and be simulcast on Peacock in the United States. And finally, WWE is reportedly high on an injured WWE superstar. Now, Corey Hayes of PWN has reported that WWE are very high on Kiana James and her work ethic and dedication while rehabbing her current injury, and has caught the eyes of a few in the company. Now, James has been on the shelf since she suffered a serious leg injury in the summer of 2024. James' return isn't too far away, however, as recent reports have noted she is either on the verge of or has already been medically cleared for an in-ring return. Kiana James debuted on WWE TV as part of NXT in February 2022. She is a former NXT Women's Champion, having held the belts with Fallon Henley. James was called up to the main roster as part of the 2024 WWE Draft, but she only had 4 matches on the main roster before her injury. Those matches saw James defeat Natalya and Ivy Nile on main events, along with another victory over Natalya on Monday Night Raw. James disappeared from TV after losing a Money in the Bank qualifier on June 17th, 2024. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see right there, we're currently at 21,662 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, join the ever-expanding WNU. A reminder, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Just scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar, click the join button, or click the link in the video description below. Get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.